Welcome inside the RXMuscle Studios here in New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as #AskDave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, competitions. We are only 13 days out of 2016 Olympia. We are joined in studio by special guest he was just on live with. We are joined by Gregg Valentino. Gregg, welcome to your second appearance here on Ask Dave.
Dude, I don't want to leave here. I love it here.
We keep trying to kick him out the door. He just won't leave.
I won't leave. I'm not even.
He's like a dog you feed once. You feed him once, he won't leave.
Like a cat, they keep coming back, right? You feed a cat, it
Give him
keeps
a
going
bowl
back.
of milk, forget about it. Gave him a tub of ice slice, I can't get rid of that.
Dave, of course, many people are wondering why was the show today, not yesterday, and of course, many people aware that we had a full slate of interviews lined up between yesterday, day before, and today. Obviously, there was a bit of a situation. For those unaware, please fill them in on the details.
I was deep sea diving, literally. I have an ozone sauna in my house, which an oxygen tank basically feeds into an ozone machine, which then feeds the sauna. And I was cleaning up some stuff, and I tipped over the oxygen tank, and it fell, and it hit my fourth toe. I guess I could get the ring finger toe, and it actually took the top off my toe. So the nail and the bulbous little top piece was off. It was hanging. And I put it back on, and I Band-Aided it. I went to the hospital, and they sewed it back on. But I guess because of the lack of oxygen there, you could lose your toe. So they put me in a hyperbaric chamber twice a day for the last 2 days. I was in the hospital. I got to go once more time tomorrow morning. And it's like deep sea diving. They basically lower the pressure, like it's like you're under the ocean, and you breathe pure oxygen. And they have to take you down low, and then you're in there for an hour and a half, and then they bring you up, and they slowly put the air back in. And I'm shot right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it, but Gregg was coming, so I had to come and do the show. And I know everyone looks forward to Ask Dave. So here we are.
We're going to get right into our questions. Earlier today, very early in the morning, for those especially on the West Coast, we released exclusive pictures of Kevin Levrone. It was a back shot. It was the most recent picture released from Kevin Levrone, again, an RXMuscle.com exclusive. It is live right now on our social media channels, on our Instagram, on our Facebook, and on our Twitter, so you could check that out. But the first question is on the RX Muscle Central Forum from WT Doom. Dave, I hate this show, I'm going to skip all that. He wants to know your opinion on the latest Levrone pic.
Kevin took that picture when he first woke up in the morning, hasn't eaten anything, has been doing a lot of real militant dieting, and he wanted to know what I thought. I said, I think you look really good. Your conditioning's awesome. I said, you're a little flat, but your conditioning's awesome. He's like, yeah, I haven't really eaten anything yet today. He's like, you can have this picture exclusively. And so then we did some more talking, and I actually told him I thought it was a good idea if he went to McDonald's today and had a cheat meal, because he hadn't had a cheat meal in 8 weeks. Wow. Kevin is militant. You telling me, Gregg, earlier we were talking about that Kevin likes to pretend when he's on contest diet that he's in a war. And
True.
I said, Kevin, at some point, too much is no good either. So I tend to believe by tomorrow he's going to send me more pictures. I don't know if he'll let me post them, but he's sending me more pictures after he eats a cheat meal. I bet you he'll look ridiculous. I guarantee it.
Let's go to Danny Almeida. I'd rather recite a Shakespearean play with Kai Green and have Steve Bleckman in the background shouting, "Wherefore wouldst thee cutteth backeth?" In parentheses, why cut back? Then watch your lame show. Well done, Danny Almeida. I've experimented with a keto diet this entire summer, but have noticed I look really flat in the mirror. I'm much leaner than I was, but I don't fill out my shirts anymore. However, when training on a day with a cheat meal, I notice that I look much fuller and have a better pump in the gym. Do you have any suggestions as to how I can maintain a more full physique while on keto? It's a longer explanation after that, but let's just answer that part of the question.
Part of being on a ketogenic diet is that you're not eating any real starchy sources of carbs. So, of course, your glycogen stores are going to be low. And that's good because when your glycogen stores are low, you burn fat at a much more accelerated rate. Plus, when you're in a state of ketosis, your brain doesn't crave carbs. So, I'll even let Gregg comment on this, but, when you're in a contest diet, you're not going to always look great from day to day. Some days you look good, some days you look flat. That's part of the process, And when you first start a ketogenic diet, you're in what I call the dreaded fat and flat stage, where you actually flat, but you haven't lost any body fat yet. You look worse. So it comes with the process. Once the body fat, though, is all burned up, even at a flat-looking physique, you're going to look really good. And that's where you want to get to. A lot of people aren't willing to, forget about the mirror and just say, hey, look, I'm going to do this diet, and as long as the weight's coming off every week, I'm good. So once again, you can't look good all the time while you're getting into shape. I know, Greg, you probably, when you used to diet, I'm sure you suffered, right?
Oh, dude, if you don't suffer, then you're not bodybuilding. I mean, bodybuilding is about suffering.
But no one wants to suffer anymore. Everyone wants to be full and
just like nobody wants to get big. Nobody wants to take the time. You know what I'm saying? I just do this. Dave gave me an Outback card.
Gift card.
An Outback gift card. So that's where I got to take the girlfriend after this.
She's gonna think you're big time now.
The bloomin' onion, baby.
Don't show her the card. Like slip it in.
No, I'm not gonna. I gotta make believe that I'm paying for this shit.
You gotta make it look like you're taking her to Morton Steakhouse or something like that, right?
If it was Blackman, I'd be like, wait, you giving me a fucking Outback card? I want a fucking Morton Steakhouse card.
Greg, what's your favorite steak, Greg? What's your favorite steak?
I gotta admit one thing. We did eat some good fucking steaks.
He never was cheap with the steakhouse.
I gotta admit that. But when we went out with the Barbarian brother one time, David Barbarian, he fucking he bought like Colby beef that was on the fucking. But Blackman brought us this place, and the fucking Colby beef thing was like $100 and something.
I remember that. I was there. Right?
Yeah, you were there.
Olympia.
Right
there. Yeah.
Holy Christ!
Dad, you enjoying the steak, David?
Anyway, yeah, if you don't do the right, I agree, Dave. If you're not suffering, and if you don't feel flat and feel like you're ready to die before a show, none of these guys smile. If you ever see Victor Martinez, he walks around like he's in a fog. His face is sunken in and shit like that. He always says, "Bring on the pain," and that's what it's all about. So.
Let's go to Droll as Dave. I was wondering if training 2 body parts in one session is bad. For instance, I'm always very smart about restoring the glycogen in the muscle as soon as I'm done training. However, I do chest and hamstrings together. Does this affect my chest growth or any muscle group for that matter while I'm training hamstrings?
I don't think so. I think as long as you keep your duration of your workout under an hour and a half, which is I always found to be that's like kind of like the key zone to be in, I think you'll recover. I think if you're in the gym 2.5 hours, you're overtraining, and I think that's too much. Now that could mean you're doing too many sets, or it could just mean that your workouts are too long and you really shouldn't be doing 2 body parts. When I was in my prime, I always did 1 body part per workout, and I've said this before. I would used to prioritize arms. I would do biceps and forearms on its own day, and I would do triceps on its own day. Believe it or not, I would do an 8-day split with 2 days off per week. So you got to find out what works best for your body. Keep your workouts under an hour and a half, though.
Let's go to Raging Pitbull. Dave, your good friend Morty the Jew. He says, your show isn't kosher, so you can't listen or watch. Just kidding. Will Clenbuterol alone give results, in parentheses, muscle gain, fat loss, to someone that has not taken any anabolic steroids? Also, any benefit in taking Arimidex by itself as for the same individual?
Clenbuterol definitely will build muscle if you're a natural bodybuilder. I've seen it happen with a lot of women. It makes them stronger, which helps them also lift heavier weights, obviously, but it also definitely helps with recovery, and it obviously burns fat as well. I think the Clenbuterol is, and I've said this before, I think it's the best fat burner available on the market, and I think it's probably one of the most underrated drugs, period, and it's great for women because there's no side effects for it. Greg, what was the most Clenbuterol you ever took in a day?
You know what's funny? I tried Clenbuterol once, and I like ephedrine better because not for fat burning purposes,
for stimulant,
for flying, baby.
Right.
Because I love to fly.
But you never really dieted though on drugs.
No, when I dieted, I was natural and I didn't do drugs at all. I suffered eating. I had to listen to Peter Neff tell me.
Knowing you probably, had you decided to take Clenbuterol, you probably would have swallowed the whole bottle, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love those kind of things, stimulants and shit like that. I love ephedrine, but you're right though. Everybody I know, a lot of people swear that Clenbuterol has anabolic properties to it.
They say it has anti-catabolic properties.
Yep.
Blocking the effects of cortisol and stuff like that.
Yep.
Let's go to Bobby Leo. Hey, Dave, quick question. My fiance is pregnant with our second child. Coincidentally, Her name is Amanda too. Damn, I hate this show. Anyway, what supplements did you have Amanda on during her first pregnancy? Did you do anything different to ensure Amanda had energy throughout the day? Because being pregnant seems to drain my girl really easily. Thanks for the great work.
She took omega lyes for the essential fatty acids, which is very important for brain development of the baby. She took V mineralized for all the essential vitamins, obviously. We did have her take a little extra folic acid and vitamin D because those are really important with the baby. And I have 2,000 units of vitamin D in there, but I recommend 7,000 a day for people. So I had to take 5,000 in addition. Now, wives and girlfriends don't always listen to everything you tell them to do, but nice, Greg, probably can attest to that. But she did do that, and I think that at the bare minimum, I thought that was good. I use a product called Juice Plus too. They've shown that women who take Juice Plus, it really increases the weights of the babies when they're born, which is good. Obviously, the heavier the baby, the healthier it is. I don't sell that directly, but I have a link on DavePalumbo.com if you want to check that out. It's a great supplement. It's the equivalent of taking 8 servings of fruits and vegetables per day with the sugar, fiber, and the water obviously removed from it. So I think that those are the bare minimums. There's other stuff you can do, but I think that that's pretty much it. Essential fatty acids, okay, for brain development, and the folic acid for neural tube or spinal column development.
Let's go to the donut. Hey, Big John. I guess he was referring the question to Johnny Styles. Got a question from England here. I love Dave's show and his show as much as my wife hates Dave and his show. Every time I put Dave's show, my wife shouts, "Oh, God, not that American coach of yours. I hate his American accent. He does my head in. So very annoying. Turn it off." She cannot tolerate Dave's voice, but she has no choice as I love this show. Question. How would Dave advise his keto diet work for a vegetarian, and what food options are there for vegetarians? My wife is a vegetarian. Her diet, she can eat 2 to 3 eggs a day max and have dairy like quark cheese, cottage cheese, semi-skim milk, whey protein isolate, Greek yogurt, normal fat-free cheese, beans, minced corn, meat-free chicken pieces, so on and so forth. So how do you make keto diet workable for such a client?
Well, that's easy because that's really not maybe I should talk like a British.
I wouldn't help her because she said she doesn't like the way you talk.
I don't care. It's how we speak. We're not proper.
Chip, chip, cheerio.
We're not proper. Anyway, she's really not a vegan vegetarian, so that makes it a lot easier, meaning she's eating animal products, specifically eggs and whey, so that makes it a hell of a lot easier because pure vegans, it's hard to recover from your workouts when you're only eating plant sources of protein. I would incorporate whole eggs, obviously for protein and fat right there. I would incorporate whey isolate with like all natural peanut butters or almond butters for your protein fat. I might use a little bit of beans. Obviously, we don't want to go too high in the beans because the carb content can add up, although the carbs in beans are very fibrous. I still wouldn't go crazy, so I might do one meal with some tofu and beans, probably do 2 shakes with some kind of nut butter mixed in, and I'd probably do 2 egg meals, and that would work fine. There's your 5 meals for her.
Let's go to, I love the name, Anabolic Chicken, somebody who's been paying attention to the show. I hate this show so much I'd rather pin with a rusty 18 gauge into my groin daily before a relaxing saltwater bath. What is your recommendation concerning sodium intake on TDK or strict keto? Stan Efferding has recommended in a YouTube video that athletes should be around 10 grams a day. I'm not there, but I'm trying to increase my intake to help keep water in the body since I have restricted carbs.
Yeah, I don't think you need to overeat sodium. I think that you need to consume sodium. I mean, I eat a lot of salt in my diet anyway because I know it's important for recovery and I sweat a lot of it out. I don't think you should restrict sodium in the diet, but I don't think you need to make an effort to overeat sodium as well. So once again, extreme measures, okay, usually screw you up. Because sometimes if you're taking too much salt, it throws off your potassium balance. So just salt your food. If you want to use soy sauces or foods that have salt in them, that's fine. Don't overdo it. But I did want to ask Greg a question because I heard you
Shoot.
guys talking about an 18-gauge needle. Did you remember the old ReadyJect sustenance from Mexico?
Absolutely, I do.
Remember the old ones used to come with like a pin in it.
Yes.
It was like they were in a syringe. They were loaded in a syringe, and the pin was like it had to be like a 16 gauge or maybe even a 14 gauge. It was like a nail, basically. Did you ever take a shot with that actually pin that came with it?
I absolutely did.
You did?
Dude, I've shot myself with 18 gauges.
That's beyond an 18
Dude,
gauge.
you know why?
That's a 16 gauge.
You know what is? Back then, I didn't give a fuck about anything.
So you would take that ReadyJect and you would jam it and inject it?
Dude, I did it so many times. You know what it is, too? I hated fucking the fact that I used to use one.
Because most people took another syringe, they pull the plunger out, and they'd squirt that in there.
Yeah, I can't do that.
No. You just use the actual ReadyJect.
I use the ReadyJect, yep.
Oh, my God. They were so bad, these things, for people who don't know, that they actually stopped putting the syringe on there, and they just put a rubber cap because they knew everyone was transferring.
But you know what's funny, though? They fucking worked like you wouldn't believe. That sustenance
That was very good, yeah.
Whoa, that sustenance kicked your ass.
Johnny and I went to Tijuana for a pro show. We went into the pharmacy to see what those things cost. They're like $40 a piece. For one shot of
I saw the show. You
Yeah.
went in there with that guy with the dread.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money for a shot of testosterone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that's Organon. That's name brand.
I mean, it was great stuff. But I like the fact I used to use those kind of needles. You know why? Because I didn't have time to be sitting there pulling shit out forever and even sticking it in me. When I stuck it in me, I was bang.
You would stick it in your shoulder? Or
wherever I could.
Oh, you're crazy.
I know, it's nuts. That was then. This is now. I'm a different man now.
Let's go back to the RX Muscle Forum. Again, if you're watching us for the first time on YouTube, we ask that you not only subscribe to the channel, like this video, but if you haven't been to rxmuscle.com yet, go and sign up to the Muscle Central Forum. That way you're going to have access to our full website, and especially now, with the Olympia only, 13 days away, you'll have access to our full contest gallery. We know how important that is, of course, come Olympia time. Let's go to Kel. Dave, your thoughts on Trenbolone acetate?
I got a couple of emails recently about Trenbolone, and it's also known as MENT. That's the name of it, and it stands for methyl nortestosterone. Okay, and MENT, as they call it, is a derivative, I guess, of a testosterone. Now, it doesn't convert to DHT at all, or dihydrotestosterone, so there's no balding or prostate effects with this. It does convert to estrogen very heavily, though. So they've thought about using it for male birth control because, as we know, estrogen shuts down pituitary function. It has similar effect. Now, the claims that they make on this is that it's 4 times more anabolic and 10 times more androgenic than testosterone, and that's just simply not the case. There's no way that that's the case. I got news for you. Trust me on that. There's no way that's the case. But it might have some use in a steroid cycle. I don't know. I've never used the stuff. I don't really know people who've tried it. You will be very suppressed pituitary function wise. But now people say, "Oh, I don't want to do that." But the truth of the matter is that if you take testosterone, you're going to be suppressed anyway. So all the testosterone or any of the drugs that convert to estrogen shut down pituitary function temporarily. Okay. It's always temporary. I've never seen anyone permanently suppressed from taking testosterone or any anabolic steroids. Now, there probably are people that were low to begin with, and then when they took steroids, they felt great, and then they went off. They went and got blood work, and they found that they were low. But they probably were low all along. Because I was on steroids for 13 years. I was on hormone replacement for 10, and and I haven't been on anything for 2 years, not even replacement, and my testosterone is 600. So that just shows you it's genetic, very genetic. Greg, what we say your natural testosterone now is what, 50?
I have the testosterone of a 10-year-old girl. No,
but
I feel it too.
You're on hormone replacement, though, you said.
Yeah. Right now, I don't know what my testosterone is with hormone replacement, but I do know that it was 168 before I from my doctor, because I abused the shit out of the stuff. You know what I mean? And
but what I'm saying is, I don't think everyone gets suppressed the same way. You might have just been this at age 56 anyway.
But you know what's funny though? It didn't affect me like. I don't feel much different when I'm. I mean, I'm not gonna bullshit. I feel better, but it's not like I was still working out and still growing muscle. I don't know. You know what I mean? Even when I was 168, I haven't stopped. I never stopped working out. I still bang the girlfriend. Sometimes the dick works, sometimes it don't. So you take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But why do guys feel like they have to take exotic shit, Dave? Where did all this shit come from?
That's the thing I'm saying. There's really no one regulating what's in this stuff. It exists out there. you might be using Trenbolone for all you know. Trestolone. Everyone's looking for the next big thing. I don't think this is the next big thing, but once again, if you can find the real stuff and it has some good effects and people are getting nice results from it, then hey, try it. I'm all for it.
Dave, when we were younger though, that Test 400 and all this shit, none of that shit was around. Where does it? Do they really make tests with 400 milligrams?
I think
or is that all bullshit?
I think what people are doing now is they're buying the raw materials from China, and they're making their own blends. And so you're seeing a lot of. I always like single ingredient steroids, so you kind of so you know what you're putting in your body. I don't like when they mix 3, 4, 5 different things in one thing.
What about sustenance?
Because I never really liked sustenance.
You didn't?
Nah, it was all right. The propionate used to bother me. I know you're a propionate freak.
Oh, I love propionate.
Propionate and I are allergic,
Really?
Yeah, I always got very sore from it. So, but I mean, there's some products out there that have Test and Tren and Winstrol in it. I don't like when they mix all the stuff together.
I don't either. I just think that today everybody's these witches brews and all these funky steroids that they're coming out in funky things.
Thank God that you could test stuff now. Bill Llewellyn came out with these kits, the Roy test kits.
Yeah.
By the way, I just got the next generation of them in. I'm going to be putting them up on my DavePalumbo.com website. So if you guys see that there's some stuff missing or the cart seems like you can't order stuff, it's because tomorrow I'll be putting up some new testing amps they came in. I'm going to tell you guys how to do it. There's like more precise testing that's come out. I'll make another video on it tomorrow to show you guys how to do it. Just be patient till tomorrow afternoon.
Again, you're watching Ask Dave here on RXMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. You can join us by asking questions on the Muscle Central forum on RXMuscle.com. That is where we go first. On our YouTube channel, on the chat box to the right-hand side of the video screen, and that's where we're going now to Stu Nelson. A question for Greg. How long do the bodybuilders of the golden era actually train every day? Arnold says 4 to 5 hours a day, but it seems hard to be occupied that long in the gym.
I got to be honest with you. I do it right now.
4 hours?
I've done 4 hours recently, yeah. I know it's nuts.
What do you do for 4 hours in the gym?
I train a lot. I do a lot of sets, but I'll do sometimes a couple body parts. It's nuts. Paul DeMeo used to break my balls.
I wonder why you don't have a job. You have no time. You have to be in the gym all the time.
No, I work for Muscle Sport Mag. No, but listen, here, do you know that Paul DeMeo used to bust my balls because I used to be in a gym with a bag of like rolls, like bread rolls, like
that was a Mahalik thing, right? Buttered rolls.
I used to eat that shit. I didn't butter them, but I ate them, and I used to drink like cream. This is like in the '80s. I used to do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that now, but yes, the bodybuilders did spend.
That was your intra-workout nutrition, right?
Yeah, that was my my Carbolize. But no, the guys back then they really did. I mean, those guys used to train each body part 3 times a week. You know what I'm saying? They would train each body part. There's a famous story where Schwarzenegger said, he trained with Sergio Oliva one day. They did biceps, and they did like 35, 40 sets, right, for the biceps. And after that many sets, Sergio said, "That's it for me, man. I'm done. I'm gonna go hit the shower." And Arnold said, "Yeah, go on. I'll see you. I got another 10 sets to do." You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, back then, I'm one of those guys. I don't know how you feel about this, Dave, but I almost feel like there's no such thing as overtrain. I feel like there's only under recuperating, not.
Yeah, but I think it's very hard. It's very easy to under recuperate if you're you can't take more food in. I don't believe, or more drugs to recuperate faster. I think that everyone's physique, everyone's body has a certain limiting factor.
I think that everybody's different. I think I have a lot. I'm a hyper guy. A lot of working out. I need to burn off that energy. I know you don't believe that I'm hyper, but but it's funny because my son, who's Army intelligence and all that, but he's into bodybuilding, working out, and everything too himself. But he's huge, and he doesn't take roids or any of that stuff. But he has a totally genetically different body than me. He can grow more on the Mike Menser type. You know what I mean? The heavy duty. He's got a lot more white fiber. You know what I'm saying, Dave? He's like thick. Like he was the kind of guy in school you call moose. With the big hands and the big But me, I don't know. I'm just saying my body type's different. Lots of sets, a lot of reps. So, yes, it is true that guys did do marathon workouts back then. Steve Mihalik was the king of that.
Yeah. I would have died from those.
Let's go back to the YouTube forum and go to our good friend Alan Marashi. I hate this show more than my boss. hates the fact that I switched shifts with my coworker just so I could watch a Thursday edition of Ask Dave. That right there, my friends, is loyalty. Greg, your best numbers on the big 3 lifts.
Oh, shit. I got to be honest with you. My legs are really probably my best body part, and I can't squat. So I haven't squatted since I was young. I can't. I don't deadlift and I don't squat. The only thing I've done is benched, and I've benched 485 when I was younger. I can't do that now. I can't. I bench like a pussy now. The thing is, I have my own theory on that. And narrow hips to me mean you're not a good squatter. I have narrow hips, and anytime I squatted, I blew my back out. Paul DeMeo used to do a lot of hack squats, although he was a great squatter too. Don't get me wrong. I know that Lee Haney used to do a lot of hack squats, leg presses, didn't do a lot of squatting. I'm just saying. I can't give you numbers because it's the only number. The only thing I bench. I can't deadlift at all. I had a bit.
What was your best bench?
485.
Okay, that's impressive. There you go.
I won a bench show. I actually have I think it's on my my website. Not my website. My Instagram.
Were you natural when you won that?
Yeah, but I was 162.
That's
I
crazy.
didn't bench 485 though. Then.
Let's go back to the YouTube chat room. Kanto Fitness. I can't stand this show and rather believe Greg that he never used synthol. Dave, it's either why do I feel unmotivated, depressed on Tren Ace?
I don't know why you would. Tren acetate always made me very aggressive, made me want to train. It made me, I think what it does to a lot of people is because it raises your androgen levels so much that whatever's bothering you will bother you more. Whatever is motivating you will motivate you more. And I would have severe mood swings on it. And I didn't even use a lot. Guys today, I used 50 milligrams every other day. Guys today use, 200 milligrams every day.
Every day.
And it's too much. It blows your fucking mind. And it messes with your head. And I think that if things are not going well in your life, that you can get depressed on this stuff. I think it will over-exaggerate your moods.
Dave, let me ask you a question about that. What the fuck gives you that Tren cough? I mean, that can't be good for you.
My theory on that is that it's the preservative in the Trenbolone and that you're breathing it out your lungs. Now, imagine you take a shot, the preservative's coming out your lungs as you're trying to get oxygen in. It's like you're gagging for air. It's like you can't, you're being smothered almost. And the more you take, the bigger the shot, the more you're going to get that coughing effect. So that's what I think is happening. I don't think it's necessarily dangerous for you. I just think it's annoying more than anything.
Because I took Parabolin, Dave, real Parabolin back in the day. Real Parabolin.
Yeah, I remember they were a cc and a half.
Oh, dude, that stuff was phenomenal. And that's really what Tren is based upon. It's a kind of knockoff of real, Parabolin. But I got to be honest with you, you can't tell me that Tren cough, it can't be a good thing. I know
the Parabolin didn't do it because it was a short-acting ester. I think that it's the acetate, because acetate is such a fast-acting ester. I think that's what you're breathing out, the preservative and the acetate there.
I think it's all because it's homebrew, no?
Yeah, because all Tren does that. All Tren acetate does that, it seems like.
All right.
Let's take one from the Muscle Central forum here on RXMuscle.com from Keeping It Steel. Yeah, these Steve Blackman ones are more and more creative. I'm going to take the high road. Dave, do you believe, and this is one that I don't think we've had before on this show as long as we've been doing this show. So this is an opportunity for you to open up here on this topic. Do you believe that going gluten-free has significant benefits health-wise and or during a contest prep?
I think it only has benefits if you're gluten intolerant, meaning that if you go for blood work and it comes back that you have the antibodies against gluten and you're deemed having celiac disease, which is a gluten, I guess you could say allergy, then it's not a good idea to eat gluten because you're going to get side effects from it. I think if you're just one of these people that's a neurotic because you think no one can eat gluten, you're crazy. Because I think most people can tolerate gluten. And most people have no problems. I have no problems whatsoever. I'll sit there, eat a whole box of pretzels at night watching TV. I like the big chunky, Pennsylvania Dutch pretzels. And that's all wheat flour. And I have no problem with that. So there's no reason why I should be restricting gluten from my diet. Matter of fact, we start getting so restrictive, there's nothing left to eat anymore. People are eating rice and chicken boiled. I mean, come on. Don't drive yourself that crazy. Believe me, there's a lot of bad shit you should eliminate from the diet. I don't think you need to avoid gluten if you don't have an allergy to it.
And now they're saying rice is bad because it's a grain, and people are not supposed to really eat grains.
And because there's arsenic in the
Oh
ground.
my
I've read
God,
that one too.
dude! You've been eating gluten in your whole life, most of you people.
Right.
You're going to school, your mother's making you a sandwich, you eat pizza, you eat this, yeah. And now all of a sudden, because you're into fitness, you're starting to realize, oh my God, gluten's really bad.
I remember like 40 years ago probably, when we were kids, there was this one girl on the block. Her mother wouldn't let her have bagels, so when she would come over to my house to play with my sister, she could never have bagels. My daughter, she's gluten. She's a gluten allergy. We were like, what? My mother's like, what the hell fuck's gluten? No one knew what that was back then. And it was probably she was a health nut, this woman, back in the 70s, and no one was health nut back then.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
That was a rarity.
No, you're
People
right.
thought you were crazy back then if you were a health nut.
You're right. So you guys gave her bagels. You're like, fuck, I don't even like
yeah.
a motherfucker. Give it a
Yeah,
bagel.
we would give her bagels. We'd
Give her a
give
fucking
the
bagel.
Jewish kids food on the days on Yom Kippur when this was fast.
Oh, shit.
You're watching Ask Dave on RXMuscle.com with special guest Gregg Valentino. His episode of Live With is live right now on our YouTube channel and, of course, on RXMuscle.com. We have a packed slate of Olympia athletes for you next week, all across the board on our Live With Road to the Olympia series, sponsored by SciTech Nutrition. We just got confirmation right now from Lucas
Lucas
correct?
Oslidel.
Yeah,
Oslidel.
I've heard Oslidel. I've heard Oslidel.
He's one of the
Czech Republic.
probably one of the most shredded bodybuilders out there. I would put him up there with Andreas Munzer.
Wow.
Conditioning wise, he's pretty amazing.
So he actually just confirmed that he is interested in doing an interview next week with us. So we have a packed slate. For certain reasons, we are not permitted right now to announcing exactly the schedule of guests. You've heard the story before, media contracts, so we're not going to go there. But that said, keep it locked to RXMuscle.com, our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter for all the latest updates on all the upcoming guests that we have. Let's go back to our YouTube channel and check in with our forum. Amir Fisher, hey Dave, I hate the show more than Sean Ray hates Kevin's comeback. And I know, Dave, you had a story about that earlier on Live with Gregg Valentino. Can your body burn fat and muscle together, or do you only burn muscle when you're ripped and do fasted cardio?
The only time you're going to really lose muscle is, number one, if you're not eating enough protein, or number two, if you're doing too much high-intensity activity with not enough protein in your system. So, when you're taking anabolic steroids, it's really hard to lose muscle. Everyone's always carrying on about muscle loss, and women don't ever lose muscle. You can starve them, you can overtrain them, they don't lose muscle. So I think a lot of people are worried about losing muscle when they really shouldn't be worried. You know what? If you have body fat in your body, you're probably not burning up muscle tissue. I know, Greg, you probably hear this also. It's sickening already. 99% of the people are not burning muscle tissue, okay, when they think they are. A lot of people also, when you get them in shape, they think that you burned up muscles or muscle in their legs or muscle in their upper body, when in fact they just didn't have that muscle to begin with. It was body fat.
I agree. I think the last resort, your body burns muscle as a last resort. You'd have to be in the Sahara Desert, not eating in fucking a while. What most people get, probably, Dave, is the fact that the muscle, it gets flat from either not enough carbs or overtraining. What I just finished saying there was no such thing as overtraining. Now I said what I meant was training. Like knocking all the carbs out of your muscle. But I think they mistake flatness for muscle loss,
or they think they have more muscle than they really do.
God, how many people are so fucking delusional with that?
You're watching RXMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave. Of course, that is our special guest of the afternoon, Gregg Valentino. Dave, I just wanted to point something out. And, last week we gave a shout-out to our producer, Johnny Styles, essentially for all that he does, not only for this show, but for our channel as a whole. Dave, right now I'm looking at our Instagram page where we promote this show and we field questions. We're over 50 questions on this show. This is a show that started, about 6-7 months ago?
Yeah.
We'd be lucky if we got maybe 15 to 20 questions, on a good day. And now between YouTube, between Facebook, Twitter, really this show has gotten to the point, and of course the views that we're getting, we wanted to thank you, our fans, the RX Muscle community, for the never-ending support that you've shown us, especially over the course of the last 3-4 months in terms of, the coverage that we've been providing and the feedback you've been giving us. So we just wanted you to know that we appreciate all the feedback, all the love, and all the support as we go now to our Instagram page and go to Aaron Bible. Ask Dave, I hate this show so much. I'd rather work for MD full-time and not get paid. How important is HDL if total cholesterol and triglycerides are within range? Any tips for raising it? My always is low, even on a test-only cycle.
Yeah, there's two types of cholesterol carriers. They're not really cholesterol. It's the LDL cholesterol carriers and the HDLs. The analogy I give people is the LDL cholesterol carriers are like the pig pens. They're like the slobs of the cholesterol carrier world. They kind of travel around the body and they just dump cholesterol out wherever they want, which could obviously lead to cloggages or blockages in the arteries. The HDL cholesterol carriers are like the vacuum cleaners. They go around and suck up all the rogue, cholesterol that's out there so that you don't get blockages. When you take anabolic steroids, HDL numbers seem to go down, and they do. It's experience. However, there's something else that determines the efficiency of the HDL cholesterol carrier. It's called particle size. If we go back to the vacuum cleaner analogy, there are big vacuum cleaners and there are small vacuum cleaners. The big vacuum cleaners are better at doing their job than the small ones. So what we find is that when you take steroids, even though your HDL numbers go down, the number of vacuum cleaners, the size or the particle size of the vacuum cleaners or the HDL molecules elevate or get bigger. So most bodybuilders, and you can ask your doctor to test your particle size, most bodybuilders have low HDLs but high particle size. As a matter of fact, they've shown that having bigger particle size is more important, than how many particles you actually have of the HDLs, meaning that if you have super high HDL levels, but your particle size is low, you're more at risk for coronary heart disease than if you have low HDLs and large particle size.
Let's go to D-Rock P87. Dave, I hate this show more than Phil Heath hates do full range of motion heavy squats. Question it. Is it possible to get body fat and water levels low enough to compete on stage today without diuretics and Clenbuterol, Winstrol, ephedrins, etc.?
Look, if you're willing to work hard, you can get in shape. When I was a natural bodybuilder, I Greg can attune to this too, I busted my ass. I was a ripped natural bodybuilder. I wasn't that big, but I was shredded, and I had striated glutes, and I had every bit of detail that I have now, or I had when I competed with anabolic steroids. So getting in shape is just dieting hard. You don't need to take drugs to do that. You might have to suffer a little more, but you don't need drugs to do that. And I think that's a lot of people start depending on the drugs to get in shape. And I'm sure you've seen this as well.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, when I competed, I was natural, and I never used diuretics or any of that stuff. I actually fucked around with them afterwards, but to be honest with you, you didn't need that to get ripped. You got to. If you know how to manipulate your sodium levels and all that stuff naturally, which Peter Neff used to do with me, you know what I mean? You can. But you know what the problem is though, Dave? Once again, I think that most people are not really truly ripped, so they blame, it's water. Look, I'm carrying it, and you say, dude, you still got some more fat to lose.
Right. Well, that's
people
don't want to suffer.
That's really what it boils down to, because there's plenty of natural bodybuilders who don't fuck with diuretics and stuff, and they get ripped. But the question is, are you being honest about your body fat levels? And I think most people are delusional.
Yeah.
Be Wacky once again has my name in all caps 4 times. Sid. You remember that show, Crank Yankers, right? We had this last week as well. I want to ask a question and ask Dave. Yay! Let's go to Be Wacky. Ask Dave if doing supersets builds muscle, and what is the best way to go about building muscle in terms of rep range?
Look, I always believed heavy weights, good form, moderate, repetitions build muscle. Obviously, if you're lifting super heavy weights, you're not going to be doing 12 reps. You're going to be doing 4 to 6 reps, and I think that's the range that builds muscle. Do supersets, giant sets, forced reps have a place in working out? Absolutely. I always say, when people ask me, is this a good workout? I always say yes, because anything that changes things up and varies things and shocks your body is good for the body's growth. But bottom line, if you want to put on mass, you got to do the basic movements, heavy weight, good form. Greg, and I know you're going to agree with that.
Yes, absolutely. I just feel that if you're going to do forced reps and all that stuff, it's funny because I don't like the Mike Mentzer heavy-duty training, but I do agree with the one thing that he used to say, and that was the set doesn't begin until you've performed at least around 6 to 8 reps of the heavier weight. And then if you're going to force, let's say you get 12 reps, right? He says you should be failing at around like 8 reps or so, 7, 8 reps. And then the 12th, the other rep should be squeezed out or gotten out. And that's...
But he believed in one set, too, per body.
Yeah, I don't believe in that.
I believe that you need to lift heavy weights. When I would squat, I would routinely do 4-rep squats with heavy weight, and I know my legs grew from that.
You know what, Dave? The perfect example is, I agree, and this is what I tell everybody. The perfect example of that is that you got to remember, working out, lifting weights is a resistance exercise, okay? Cardio is an aerobic exercise, which is non-resistance. So you can't take resistance out of the resistance exercise. In other words, I can't take a pencil and curl it 100,000 times and say, "Look, you have to. It's the resistance that's making the muscle grow."
Gotta overload it.
Right. So. He's right. That's what I'm saying. That's as asinine, Dave, as you would never see Usain Bolt running with weights in his hands and stuff like that. Okay? Because now you're adding resistance to a non-resistance exercise, to a cardio exercise. The whole idea behind cardio is to move. So I'm just saying, I think a lot of people, they get too caught up in this shit. You got to go
to the gym
and lift weights
heavy and go home and eat.
Right.
So a quick hitter, and then we're going to have 2 questions that we're going to get both Dave and Gregg's feedback on. Bjorn from the Netherlands, Dave, wants to know, when is Species Nutrition coming to the Netherlands?
I'd love it there. Find me a distributor. I mean, it's unfortunate, but you have to find the right distributor in the right country. And a lot of distributors aren't willing to invest in a nutrition line that's a very high-end line because the products cost a little bit more. And a lot of people are just into making money.
Right.
Predator Nutrition in the UK, which you probably, if you live in the Netherlands, you probably can get it from them, carries our products. They believe in having specific high-end product lines. And hopefully we're going to keep nurturing our partnership with them, and they will continue to spread it throughout Europe because the product line is in demand. I know I have a lot of clients there. I have a lot of people who want to try the products. They do order them directly from me. Obviously, the shipping's more expensive. If we can get it out there to a distributor's hands, it'll be much easier for people to get hold of the stuff.
A couple of deep questions here. Let's get a comment from both you, Dave and Gregg. The first one from Bassier C. What makes someone's genetics superior?
Well, I mean, some people have an uncanny ability to put muscle on real easy. They lift. They don't have to eat a lot. They don't have to lift that much weight. They just add muscle. They're hyper responders. Kevin Levrone. I would put Big Ramy in that category. Other people are slow, gainers, meaning that they got to train super hard. They got to eat perfectly. And even then, they don't put muscle on that easily. And, some people can attribute that to myostatin, having less myostatin, easier to put on muscle, some having more myostatin, harder to put on muscle. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely a genetic variance about the ability to add muscle tissue. But I believe that no matter what your genetics, you can supersede that if you can eat the right foods, train the right way, and take the right supplements. I was a hard gainer. I put on more muscle than anyone else out there. It just took me a while,
Gregg, your thoughts on what makes somebody's genetics superior?
Holy Christ, your parents. Your parents. I mean,
But what does that mean to you when someone when that term?
Genetics are something that you inherit. You know what I mean? Like, why the fuck am I 5'6"? And why am I 6'5"? You know what I mean? My parents. Even though my father was 5'9", 5'10", my mother was smaller. Johnny, I don't know if you can show, but there's a picture of me on my Instagram. I was 11 years old, and you can see I have abs and all that shit. You probably have to scroll down. It's probably halfway, If I got 200 pitches under 100 pitches, it's halfway in. But what I'm saying is, I was always, as a kid, I was always built, even young. I wasn't big. I was muscular. There you go. Holy shit, that was fast. That's me at 11 years old. You know, you can see my abs, my chest, everything. I wasn't huge, but what I'm saying is, for a kid that age to have abs and everything, I'm just saying to you, you can't, you can't. Look at the fucking afro. The curly hair, holy
Good lat spread, though.
Yeah, I had
That was a good lat. 15 years old.
I still got those lats, baby. But, what I'm saying is, holy shit, 1973. I mean, I wasn't huge or nothing, but I had muscularity.
Okay, Jerry Seinfeld.
Do I really? I'm making a face. I was fishing.
All right, next question.
But yeah, so that's the name of that. You're born with genetics. I mean, right? That's it.
Absolutely.
John_Nielsen, post-cycle blood work. What all should you tell your doctor to test?
I have a sheet of all the tests that I think people should be getting. You know, it's hard for me to reiterate it all, but they used to call it the SMA 20, but it's now called the Complete Metabolic Panel, which tests liver function, kidney function, serum albumin, and all that type of stuff, prostate-specific antigen. Then you can get your CBC, which is your white blood cells, your red blood cells, your hematocrit, hemoglobin. Then you should be getting your hormone panels, your TFT or complete thyroid function tests. That's TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, T4, T3, reverse T3. You should get your testosterone, estrogen, prolactin, cortisol levels checked. What else am I forgetting? Something else in there.
Shit, I don't know. You get pretty much covered.
Progesterone. I would test vitamin D levels, vitamin B12 levels.
Really?
And C-reactive protein, which is total body inflammation. That's a pretty complete test, if you ask me.
Let's go to Casey Bradford. Why does Clen make me sleepy?
You know, I tell people that all the time. They don't believe me because when you first take Clenbuterol the first 2 weeks, you get shaky, and some people can't even sleep from it. It's not really a stimulant, but once you get used to it after 2 weeks, I used to take one and go lay in a tanning bed and fall asleep. I don't even know why. It dilates the vessels, so maybe it relaxes you a little bit, but it definitely will relax you a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never heard that.
You wouldn't like that.
No, dude, I'm sensitive. I could bite the tip of a Viagra, and I'll be hard for fucking all day, all night. I swear to God, sick. I'm really sensitive to stimulants.
Let's go to Arms_McGee, and he has a question on legs. Quickest way possible to build mass on legs, and is it possible to do so without squats? Thinking about switching from men's physique to classic and trying to build some good legs.
I always say that if you want great legs, you got to squat. It's just a fact. There's no way to balance leg development better than free weight squats. I'm not talking about Smith machine. I'm talking about free weight squats where you have to balance the bar. I know people have back issues and issues that they can't do that, and that's fine, but it's going to handicap you. If you could squat, you're going to get the best leg development of any exercise. Jerry Scalise, who you know, used to tell me, I heard him say it before, go to the gym, squat 10 sets, and go home. You don't need to do any other leg exercises. That's how complete squatting is.
He had some wheels on him, too.
Yeah, great wheels.
Let's go back to our YouTube channel as we check in with our forum. Again, if you're watching us live on YouTube and this is the first time you're watching us, hit the subscribe button below, and we will continue to pump out this kind of content. Let's go to 7 question marks. Oh, I have a question. Do steroids can they change face over the years of using, make it more muscular? For women, it works.
Well, women who take anabolic steroids will definitely change their face. Just like a little boy who's going through puberty's face will change. It'll thicken the jawbone, increase the density of that bone. It could actually pronounce the cheekbones a little bit more. So, for women, they got to watch taking androgens for that very reason. Now, some men who maybe never went through a strong puberty because they had low natural testosterone levels, those men who take that also can get more of a pronounced jaw structure. Usually, GH will increase cheekbones, whereas the testosterone is the jawbone. They say that steroids can make the ears and nose grow a little bit too, because that's what happens over time. I don't know if that's the case or not. I think that's more growth hormone related. But yeah, it can definitely change your face, especially a woman. Man, not so much unless you're young or unless you've been exposed to very low levels of androgens your whole life.
Let's go to Mishi1018. I hate your show so much. I'd rather have a fiberlyzed enema every hour on the hour, even though the only thing I have to eat is an amino spike protein powder. Meanwhile, Gregg Valentino is standing on my white antique carpet, banging on the bathroom door, screaming that he's got to get in there. Dave, what is the best thing to do if you have to stay up later a few hours past your last meal during a contest prep?
I mean, you could stretch your meals a little bit. So I always like to eat my last meal at minimum an hour before going to bed, so that I wouldn't be as hungry at night when I was dieting. If you have a particularly long day that's 5 hours, say longer than normal, I might put another shake into the meal plan, especially if you're not real close to a show and it's going to make a big difference, rather than go catabolic or rather than not being able to sleep at night. I always tell people to use my Fiberlyze before bed, no matter what time. This way, no matter when you go to bed, even if it's been 3 hours after your last meal, you have that fiber shake. It kind of fills your stomach up so you're not as hungry. Greg, did you ever have any tricks when you were dieting?
No, it's funny you say that because you gave me Fiberlyze, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah,
I used to take it before bed, and it helps. It helps. It definitely helps. Makes you feel like you got a full stomach. Yeah, he gave me the Fiberlyze a long time. You gave it to me a long time ago. So I'm not bullshit. It works.
I got to give you more of that. I forgot to give you that. I forgot you like Fiberlyze.
It was very good.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with
I'll
you.
give you some more.
And you know what's funny? It tasted pretty good too. It wasn't bad tasting.
It's not bad for fiber.
No, it works. If you take it before bed, you definitely, because it expands and it makes you feel like you got, and you're not getting any like calorie. You know, it's not like you're eating some.
No, there's nothing. A lot of women like it before, but what they do is they put it in water. They put it in the refrigerator and let it gel. So
Oh,
it's like
God.
eating Jello almost. You know.
I used to do that. I used to put it in warm water, and it would like this. It works.
Take a couple more questions. Let's go to big_Gino82. Food versus shakes. How many shakes can one person have in a day? Do you recommend trying to build strength? And how would you go about keeping strength while trying to lean out?
I always went meal shake, meal shake, meal shake. That's just how I always did it. It was easier. I didn't like to eat that many food meals. I liked more shakes to kind of break it up so it's easier to get the food down. It's really a personal preference. It doesn't matter. You can do all meals. You can do all shakes if you want. I know Dr. Connolly, when he first came out with metrics, was recommending people do 5 shakes a day with no food meal. So, I mean, you could do it. It's a lot more satisfying to kind of stagger it, shake meal, shake meal.
Yeah.
Let's take one more. Let's go to Douglas Bodybuilding. Hey, Dave, I'm planning to have a refill day that consists of 3 times the amount of carbs that I'm currently eating to boost metabolism and leptin levels, and then go back to eat my normal carb amount again. Carb source will be rice, potato, and oats. What are your thoughts on that, and high carb days and low carb days?
I like to shock the body every once in a while. When I work with clients and we get closer to a show and I see they're really leaning out, or maybe they get stuck a little bit, I might tell them, hey, tomorrow I want you to add 35 or 40 or 50 grams of carbs to every single meal you have, and then send me pictures the day after. And a lot of times they'll lose weight doing that because I'm shocking their metabolism. So there's no rules in stone. When you hire me or anyone else, Greg or whoever else, to do coaching for you, you're hiring us for our instincts and for our knowledge. So what the diet you start with today might not be the diet you're going to be on in a week or 2 from now, or it might be the diet you're on the whole diet. It depends on how your body responds to it. That's why you can't say, oh, I don't want this diet because Joe Blow has the same diet. Well, if it works for you, great. You know, if your body needs to be shocked or you need some carbs, then you give them carbs. You got to kind of go by feel.
I absolutely agree with that, Dave. I think that you cannot plan. You can't plan. You know what? Next Thursday I'm gonna have a cheat day,
Right.
because what if next Thursday you're feeling bloated and kind of it's just like Dorian Yates used to say, I can't plan a day that like a heavy light day in the gym. What if tomorrow I say, you know what, tomorrow's my light day in the gym, but you feel really strong? You're You have to go by instincts and the way you feel that day in that moment. Look at Dave just told Levrone he should be. Go to McDonald's. You're looking flat. You know, I mean, so basically it's by the way you feel and the way you look at that. You can't plan these things like that. I'm thinking about doing it. You can't. You have to go by the way the body feels.
Amen.
So Johnny Saws, the producer, is telling us that we're getting a lot of questions in the YouTube chat room for Greg, and we'll take a couple of them right now. JJRM, Greg, this question is for you. When you were taking tons of gear and using amps, do you use filtered needles to prevent microglass shards?
What the fuck was that? What did I use? Filtered needles? What does that mean?
There's filter syringes. You didn't care. You probably ate the glass.
No, I didn't give a shit. I didn't care about nothing. When that glass. Oh, you're talking about when the ampules?
When you cracked the amps.
Yeah. Oh no, dude. I used to see glass in it. I didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? I probably got glass crunchies in me. No, I didn't really care, to be honest with you. If it was fucking fun.
If you opened up a bottle of test and there was like some stuff floating in there, would you still use it?
Yeah, back then I would. I'm not. Listen, guys, I'm not. You're asking what I did and what I am. Two different. You know, it's different now. You know what I mean? I had Leon Brown asking me. He was telling me, dude, I found a bottle of test. It was like expired by like 15 years and shit. The top was bowed up, you know, because the oil was rancid. And I told him, dude, even I wouldn't shoot that. You know what I mean?
You're like, give it to me. I'll get rid of it.
Yeah, this is bad.
Give me the
Wow,
bottle.
boy, they gave me an abscess. No, no. All joking aside, I'm trying. Let me answer your question. I wouldn't worry about the glass in there. I really don't think. I mean, I don't know if you're being serious with that question, but I didn't give a shit.
Let's go take another question from the YouTube chat room. Love Rathis. Dave, is there any advice? Well, this one's for Dave. Any advice you can give for a tall guy who wants to put possibly maximum muscle on his frame?
Boy, some of these guys ask some questions.
Train heavy,
and eat.
Eat good, and take enough rest. That's the formula.
And keep
Pretty
watching
simple.
RX, baby,
Right.
for the right information. Come on, you guys got to, some of you guys ask some questions. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's like when you go to Dave, how many times have you been somewhere like a gas station or something? Yeah. Some guys say, dude, what can I do to, like, what do I want to start, like, what do I do? First of all, do you work out? Why don't you start with that? Why don't you join a gym? Right. I mean, holy fuck.
I was arguing in the hyperbaric chamber room. I have an Asian resident doctor and the woman who's the tech at the hyperbaric chamber, and they were talking about losing weight. And they're like, oh, I would never use those artificial sweeteners. I'm like, why not? They're like, oh, it exhausts the pancreas and it burns them out. I'm like, by what mechanism? And she's like, so the tech goes to me, oh, you don't want to talk science with so and so doctor, so and so, because I said, believe me, bring it on. I said, you speak at the highest level you want. After we were done with the conversation, she was like, well, maybe you're right, because I'm like, do you really think that artificial sweeteners are going to tax the pancreas more than sugar will, which makes the pancreas produce insulin? I said, are you crazy? You guys are you have cakes and cookies over there. You think that's better than drinking a diet soda?
I can't believe you get people like that. Like I remember when I walked into a diner once, right? And a fucking chick was eating cheeseburger with cheese fries. You know what?
Steroid.
And she looks at me and she goes, she tells her friend, that's disgusting. And I'm like, holy fuck, fatty. You know what I mean? Look, you got to be kidding me, fucking, you look like a beached whale and shit, and you're telling I look disgusting, Holy fuck.
You are pretty disgusting, though.
I am. I'm disgusting. I said, you must know my girlfriend, for Christ's sake. She put you up to that?
Let's go back to the YouTube chat room and try to take another question for Greg. Johnny, do we have any more, or?
What's the strongest, most intense person Greg has ever trained with?
The what? The strongest, most intense person I have ever trained with? Somebody you wouldn't know. His name is Jimmy Gasparino. His brother is Charlie Gasparino, the Fox. He's Fox Business News
Anchor?
Yeah, anchor man. He's on TV. You see him all the time on Fox Business News. Charles, you can Google him. Charlie Gasparino, his brother. He does MMA, he does all that stuff. But he's a maniac in a gym. And together we were maniacs.
I guess that we have another one. Sage Sade. Dave, how common is using DNP in the bodybuilding scene?
I don't think it's very common. I don't ever recommend people use it. People ask me all the time dosages. I said I don't give dosages because I don't think it should ever be used. There is no safe dose of DNP.
Can I throw my 2 cents in? I have a friend whose girlfriend died from DNP. I'm not kidding you. She died from it a while back, but still. All I know is he'd be the first one to tell you don't go near that shit. That's
very dangerous.
If it's real DNP, his girlfriend died from it.
On that note, we're going to wrap this episode of Ask Dave with special guest Gregg Valentino. Reminder that the episode of Live with Gregg Valentino is available right now on RXMuscle.com as well as our YouTube channel. A lot more to come.
So go watch it. Stop fucking around. Stop watching this other bullshit. Go watch the fucking... Go watch the live. We just did the show. Watch it. It's fun. Stop watching Rich Piana drive around in fucking cars and eating cheeseburgers. Watch the show. Sorry, Sid.
I have nothing more to add to that. But we will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. live with Valeria Amirato. She is an IFBB Bikini Pro from Germany, a Sci-Tech nutrition athlete. 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon here on RXMuscle.com. For Dave Palumbo, Gregg Valentino, and our producer Johnny Styles, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m.